Hello and welcome to Cloud Tech Talks. This is Pritesh. I'm back with another video. This video is about best practices for IaC security. So let's dive straight into it. So I've broadly classified the best practices for IaC security in 5 buckets. So the first one is visibility into inventory. So the thing that you need to do as a DevOps engineer is obviously identify tags, monitor, and maintain an inventory list. So this is extremely important because what happens is when you are working with multiple developers firing up multiple resources at different times of the day, it becomes extremely crucial to keep a track of all of that, because otherwise your resources can get lost as well, and you will not know what to scan or what to look for. The second and most important thing is you need to scan all the templates, because usually all the developers use templates to automate their provisioning, automate all the workflows that they have. So use a tool for that, like use a modern tool which can do the automated scanning for you, and there are a lot of tools out there who can do that for you. So that's essentially at the starting point of when you are putting all of this development focus in motion. And last but not the least, you have to look at overall from your CI/CD perspective, which resources are retired, which resources are have an associated configuration still left in your pipeline. So look at that and take it to the full spectrum of not only scanning the templates but also scanning all the retired resources that you may have associated configurations for. Second one is looking at environmental drift. So what this means is basically looking at all the unchecked accumulation of changes over the course of time from every developer. So looking at changes in infrastructure, looking at changes in applications, and at the same time also looking at the benchmarking of configuration. So every developer could be different from the perspective of how he does configuration and how he does the overall procedure for creation of infrastructure as well. So how can you look at creating a benchmark and making sure that everybody follows a standard procedure, and below that anything else is not acceptable? So that's about identifying and fixing environmental drift. Third, and one of the most critical points according to me, is securing your hard-coded assets. So most of the developers would be using any form of secrets, let's say passwords, keys, API keys, tokens, certificates, etc. Use a professional secrets management engine for this, because once you do this, you will be able to quickly find out that you can get away with doing a lot of risky manual stuff, as opposed to handing it over to a professional tool which can do the whole secrets management engine for you. And one of the most popular secrets tools in the market is Vault, which is a product of Hashicorp. So I highly recommend checking that product out as well. And more importantly, if you look at it from an IaC template perspective also, you have to avoid the risk of exposure of secrets via IaC templates as well, because the ones who are not using a professional secrets management tool, they're probably storing it in IaC templates or some form of databases which is actually open to any developer coming in and trying and testing their code and doing it something in a pre-prod level or a development level, and that can quickly turn out to be a risk when you move into production, or even if you don't move into production. This brings me to the fourth point, and one of the most critical points as well, is how do you secure your developer accounts, right? So you see, it's common practice to try and give developers everything that they need in order to develop, but are those accounts really secure? Are you able to harden and monitor developer accounts? And that brings to a point where you are able to put in some rules based on authentication, based on identity of that individual, and what rights and privileges that developer is able to enjoy in your infrastructure. So that is extremely critical also, because most of the leaks happen through that sort of medium where an account itself is vulnerable, and an account itself has too much privilege to make changes to an entire ecosystem that is around it. it. You have to always verify that all the changes are sanctioned and intentional. So always keep a sort of a workflow in mind, an approval process in mind when you're designing all of this, and do it from scratch, before moving into production and in your developmental effort itself. And that's how you will, make the most out of securing your developer accounts. And last but not the least, enforce cloud native policies. So what I mean by this is, you can do routine checks in terms of multi cloud infrastructure from a configuration drift standpoint, or also from an alerts to violation standpoint. How can you go from that specific scenario, establish a specific rule-based method in order to make sure that you are able to make the most out of enforcing these cloud native policies. A classic example of that could be, let's say you enforce a rule that a CI/CD build should fail in case of a certain security threshold is not met by a developer or a group of developer making changes to an infrastructure or something like that, right? Very simple example, but very effective if you put in the guardrails and you put in the rules for your cloud native changes to take place. And obviously from a policy standpoint, you are monitoring it from a compliance as well as a security perspective. So on a high level, these are the 5 cloud native policies that I wanted to cover off from an IaC security perspective. Let me know in your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll try to do deeper dive sessions into some more specific subjects which warrant for a video of its own. So until then, this is Pritesh signing off from Cloud Tech Talks. Thank you so much.